Now, the average client that I go to is probably around 100 acres. And but I often say about half the clients are 50 acres or less. It's just you have those clients that are a few hundred acres that bring up the average. Some of my favorite parcels to go to are small little micro parcels. This is actually a 10-acre parcel, but you can see this parcel goes all the way out to the road. But with the house and garage, it really only leaves the client with about 6 acres to work with. Now, right off the bat, looking at the property, client's food plot was right back here, all the way at the back of the property. And I'm just going to describe this real quick, some of the key concepts to creating this. But with the food plot all the way towards the back, everything on his land was really unused. It's kind of rolling in there. It actually tips down, going downhill to the south, and then going more uphill to the north. But still, even then, it rolls up and down. You can see a couple low areas and water right here. Neighbor's woods all the way to the east back here. So what the client's been doing, and it's not a bad tactic. He's actually shot some decent bucks where this is an unhunted woods. This is lower central Michigan, let's just put it that way, in an area where there's enough houses around. Most of the lots are 5 acres, 10 acres. There's a 40 mixed in here or there of ag. This happens to be about 20 acres of cover next to them that's unhunted. It's old set aside pasture area, and they just don't allow any hunting on it, and the landowner doesn't hunt themselves. So that's over to the east. And what he's been doing is he has a food plot that was taking up almost this entire end right here. And with that food plot in this area, he's coming into a blind right here, and he's waiting for those deer to come to this location. Hopefully, sometime maybe they get pushed through during daylight, during gun season. But a lot of times with a bow, he's sitting right here just waiting for them to come into that food plot in the afternoon and just hoping they do. There's really no more reason for the deer to come through the property or to get into that food plot very early in the afternoon, because they just need to step out of cover. They're into food. So you can imagine those does are coming in and then those bucks almost right at dark. So this represents a few key features. A lot of times when you have land up against a portion of cover, it doesn't matter if it's public land, set aside land, an area that is non-hunted, then and you can't hunt on that adjoining land. I'd rather not see a food plot on the edge. It's one of the worst places to put a big food plot like that, because it keeps deer on the neighbor's woods. Now, if that neighbor is a hunting neighbor, I'm sure the neighbors would have loved that food plot next to the edge. What I wanted to see him do, this is a low area up here that's actually hidden from the house, which is here in the garage. I wanted to see him hide that food plot and make it a lot larger. So instead of a 1 acre or 3/4 of an acre plot, get that more into a 1 1/4 acre, 1.5 acre plot up here. And then look at taking the switch. I'm sorry, I don't have a yellow marker, but make sure there's switch surrounding that. It's got a little bit of brush up in here, but making sure that food plot can be completely hidden. And with just about 10 to 15, 20 feet of switch around that, there's no reason for anybody to ever be able to see those deer on the inside and for the deer to see that person that's walking by. Now, this is a little bit lower through here. In fact, this area in between is a little bit wet coming up into this location right here. So the deer either have to go through here or around through this. But in that portion, it's still pretty open. What I recommended he do, he has a pretty cool blind that he's used for a long time, is to still have a little bit of a smaller hunting plot right here. But this is several times larger so that the deer really want to come through here and funnel towards the front every day and really get to this. And when that happens, when you elongate that movement, so when that movement is elongated from public land, from an unhunted neighbor, then it forces those deer to go all the way to the end of your property or to the front, and it sets up stand locations so you can get in and out and hunt different stands for different winds. So taking care of the food, you have food back here, you can have a food plot stripped through here that winds and really defines that the deer need to and move towards the front. There's a lot of switchgrass that can be used in these open areas. And open areas meaning some pockets of switch out here to fill in some space. And then also Get switchgrass on a little island here. In this case, you're not looking at like, well, those deer are going to actually bed within the switch, but you're using the switch to just add instant cover to where within 2 years, by the end of that second growing summer, that switch should be 6 or 7 feet tall. So you're really starting to frame in that entire area so that there's walls of protection around it. You have almost a fort of protection. He has some trails through there. So this area can now all be turned into switch. This area going all the way back. This area going all the way up to the blind, and on the south side of the blind can be all switch. Just filling in these portions so that there's a lot of edge. I hope that makes sense. You're almost filling in the walls of a fort so the deer feel comfortable on the inside anywhere through there. But the switch alone is not going to do it. In these areas right here, where all these little black dots are scattered box elder. Now, in some cases, someone might recommend, let's get rid of all those box elder. They're terrible trees. Let's plant them with oaks or maple or cherry, whatever it might be. Instead, those box elders are wonderful wildlife and habitat for whitetails, rabbits, pheasants, whatever might be in there. And because they're all leaning a certain way, they're very easy to tip down. So imagine all this area, hinge cutting and dropping that box elder so that you can begin to fill in this property. So now the deer have hardwood regeneration. They actually have browse, food, cover. They can't see through this property. And by the time you add in all the switchgrass pockets around some of these areas that you have the water, you can actually plant. I wanted to plant red osier dogwood, hybrid willows, get those down in those lowland areas so that you have more browse, more diversity. And then also, because the deer are dry here, they're dry coming along this line unless they go into the water, then this represents a great place for a water hole within this line of movement. Again, if these deer are in this dry area, they're heading towards this food, they can, and then this right here is wet, sometimes underwater. He's going to fix the fence and shore it up so the deer aren't moving through there. That puts him into this location or this location. He can't actually come around and hunt through here because the deer come in and out of that location. We're working with really tight quarters. Not like he's going to have 15 stands around here. So he can still have his stand right here that he can access behind the switchgrass through here. He can have switchgrass along this border, 20 feet wide. That will allow him to access without spooking deer in the field to the south or to the north. He can have a stand location right here, watching that water hole. He can have a stand location in the brush right up here that he could, neighbor's house is actually right up here, so he can blow his scent towards the neighbor's house, to the neighbor's driveway. Over here, he can blow a scent northeast, north, northwest. When he gets over into here, he can slip all the way around this big food and everything that's going on here. In the morning, he can hunt that. He can hunt that in the afternoon. He has a transition stand. And even in a stand like that, you know, overall. Hey guys, thanks for watching the video. We'll be right back. I really want you to check out our seed company, Pure Wildlife Blends. We changed the name from WHS to reflect Pure, what our seed's all about and our company's all about. Right now is a great time to be putting down our perennial, our Green Max traffic blend for trails and around the water holes, our switchgrass, our summer soil explosion. It's amazing what people are buying right now, even going all the way into the fall, getting all their seed available right now. We'll have it all year though, you don't have to rush. Check it out while you're at it, while you're on the website. Check out our How You Design Your Whitetail Parcel. It's a great web class and some of the other ones. We have lots to offer, including the books too. Make sure you don't miss out. Now back to the video. You know, overall, another spot for a stand right here. These two stands are actually positioned a little bit further apart, right here and here. This one can be used for winds going here. This one can be used for the winds going this way. Both afternoon hunting, where he's getting in there waiting for the deer to come to him. Also, the water hole stand is the original stand right back there. So 6 acres, only 4 stands. You're not going to have a lot of stands on a small parcel like that. You can't move along that north border because deer are in this. It's autumn olive filled with brush and briars. It's a great place for deer to come in and out. It holds a lot of deer back here. Unhunted neighbors too. So if he's walking along that line, he's definitely going to spook deer. It's a really tight quarters in that location. So can still hunt around here. The whole idea is you're bringing deer all the way to the front instead of just ending at the back. And what that does is it gets deer, especially does, all the way to that front. You know that those does love to get to that big food source before dark, half hour, 45 minutes. So if those does are all the way in the front, you get a lot more deer staying on his land. Right now, deer don't currently stay on his land, and with switchgrass and cutting those box elders, that's a quick fix. You can get deer to stay in those several acres, especially in an area where cover is at a premium. And then you give yourself a little hunting plot right here for deer back and forth on the way through. Now he can sit back here in the evening, shoot a mature buck that's coming through right at dark on its way this way. Back up here on these big food plots, late season, he has really good luck with brassica plantings and green plantings, waiting for those. He doesn't have enough food plots for corn or beans, anything like that. But having that brassica and that green blend, then he can have that great December draw. He loves to hunt during muzzleloader season too in the late season. So now over a big food source, he has blinds to watch. He can get in and out without spooking deer by elongating that movement. So it's a matter of relocating the food, giving himself better access and covered access going in and out of the property, filling that property for cover quickly using what's available. Even has some willow up here that can be cut down in that low wet area. So by filling in, relocating food, elongating the movement, giving himself more stand locations, then now he'll be able to suck a lot of those deer into that food source every single afternoon and really manage a great hunt and a nice little herd that he can actually get to view during morning hunting, afternoon hunting, all day hunting, and really take advantage of some of those local bucks that before felt pretty nervous to step out into that food right from the cover into a big food source in previous seasons. Now he'll be able to actually have a lot more options and really manipulate those deer movements to use the entire length of his property that he has to work with instead of just a few feet in the afternoon right before dark.